For a while it was just me and my brother. He always took care of me. A few years later, my sisters came too. Our family's always been close. Say Kev, he's always been the same. Like when he was about 10, he had an argument with mum and dad, and he said, "I'm running away and I'm taking the kids," you know. And he went outside and got us kids, and mum's like, "Go on in, see you later." And he's always been that stubborn, but he's always been like really independent. Like growing up, like he was the one that, like they always say, the first child is the hardest, isn't it? You know, it's a learning curve. Again, loved our camping holidays. They were just brilliant. Kev was always looking after us, taking us out when we got there, give Dad and Mum a chance to put up the trailer tent. And you know, me and Kev shared a tent, so we was always kitted up with snacks and everything like that. It was brilliant. We just loved being outdoors, out and about. Dad took us down the river, so like I say, that was quite good. You know, getting Kev at a young age, rowing and all that type of stuff, and not knowing anything about it, and steering and crashing into the banks. You know, it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. And then Kev joined the army. My brother was all grown up. We were all really proud. Because I didn't hear from Kev, I heard from obviously the woman that was there at the time, you know, so you could hear the panic and stuff in her voice, like not knowing what was going on. Your brain just goes like meltdown, do you know what I mean? Like your brother's had an accident, and it's so surreal, like it was just like a cloud everywhere, you know. I couldn't see straight, I couldn't think straight. I just like, it's obviously, it affected everyone, all of me and like Kerry and Hannah and all that type of stuff, but you know, you don't think about them, you just get caught up in yourself, don't you? So we're growing up able-bodied, like you don't, like when you see a wheelchair and things like that, you don't really understand anything behind it. It's just a wheelchair. And then like you say, I just remember walking into that hospital and seeing like little kids from like 2, 3 in a wheelchair, to like people on gurdies, and like people who had really bad accidents. And I just remember like, oh fucking hell, you know, how scary it was, and like what was Kev going to be like. And that was it, like, because we just didn't know. We knew Kev had an accident, and I didn't know how he was going to be or what he was going to look like. I didn't know what to expect.
When did you first go up to Salisbury?
Cool. I think it must have been maybe a couple of weeks after.
What did he say when you first saw him?
He said, "There's 2 things. Don't ask me how I'm doing, what I've been up to, and don't ask me what the weather's like." Because that was it. It's like, what can I do? You know, he can't do nothing, and you know, he's not interested in the weather. But he was just like Kev, like nothing had changed. Like literally, like his head like was the same, his like thinking and all of that. The only thing that was different was he couldn't feel his legs anymore. Like,
so it affected you mentally probably more than
oh yeah,
what Kev portrays anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Like Kev just kind of got on with it, you know. Like for me, it was like you say, it was like my big brother, like the guy that had always been there and all that type of stuff. And like I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, like I kind of had to grow up quick, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't celebrate his birthday at all, like just because it's the memory of that day. But there are things that after time, the effect that his disability has on his body now is like, they're the things that affect him, upset him, like having to catheterise now for like 18 years. 37 years old, and I don't want to be a young man that has a bag and all that type of stuff, as much as it would be more convenient for him, and he's willing to make his life harder to kind of be as normal as possible. Well, I'm always like the funny one. He loves it when I come round because I'm like, I just constantly crack him up. That's my job. I'm the comedian of the family.
But how are you so positive? Was you positive before?
I'm not.
I've
got really bad depression, anxiety, and all that. Really bad.
You didn't show it when you first had your accident.
Oh no, yeah, but the first in my accident, it's fine. It's what happens. If you've got depression and things like that, and that is horrible to have. But seriously, there are so many people in, even like when we were in Salisbury, worse off situations, and it's like, if you can push your own wheelchair, you can pee by yourself, and you can do your own bowels, but you can do that yourself. You're not reliant on someone else to do it, and you're not reliant on someone else pushing your wheelchair.
But what made you want land? What made you actually buy the land?
Oh, because before my accident, I'd always loved the idea of having land and sort of living off the grid. And then I was just looking on Zoopla, Obviously the land's a lot more difficult when you can't walk around, because I'd always wanted to buy a bit of woodland and live in the middle of a bit of woodland sort of thing. And then I just saw this piece of land I've got now on Zoopla and just kind of made an offer, and they were like, now I've got land. And then it's like, what are we going to do with it? Got chickens. Chickens are easy. Then we've got obviously the boys, the sheep in the top.
Yeah.
And the girls down the bottom.
Yeah.
And then all the fruit. And then
You got the geese.
Geese with the chickens. You take a choice away from someone, you just have to get on with it, or you're going to kill yourself, which is why I got told off a few times in hospital.
Yeah. I just think it is kind of inspiring that you do it all, though. Do you know what I mean? Because you could, like...
Yeah, just people do it all.
That's it.
So you don't like people helping you do it? You like to do it?
No, I mean, like, when I fall out of the wheelchair at the field, I will go, if Mum was there, Tony's there, grab us a box one and get up onto. It's so much easier than me having to drag my arse however far.
Because you obviously haven't
It
changed, like from my memories of your zip lines and camping and all that type of stuff and riding the bike and one of the things. I fucking love you to death,
Yeah.
man.
How are you like coping though with as well? Coping with because you're using your upper body all the time, and that like I've
It
had
wears.
an injury
It
where
wears. You
fell,
take
and my shoulders are
years off it, years off the lifespan of what you're able to do, because your legs are 7 times stronger in general than your arms. So we're made to walk. When you rock climb, when you start rock climbing, they'll tell you, your arms are there for balance, your legs are there for climbing, so you'll hold things, climb your legs. So yeah, your legs are 7 times stronger. So when you're doing anything with your arms, you're putting 7 times the workload through your shoulders, through your biceps, everything else. So they wear out quicker.